Put your legs right underneath your hip bones. Take a deep breath into your belly and your lower dantian. And then as you bring your belly in, just allow your palms to help kind of demonstrate what your diaphragm and your pelvic floor are doing as you breathe. And you're doing something called reverse breathing, which is when you inhale, your belly goes in. And when you exhale, you release a little bit of that tone, but not fully. Okay, so your belly goes in on your inhalation. And when you exhale, you release a little bit of that tone. And okay, and then release your arms down the sides. Good. From here, relax from the hip down. So melt the quad, melt the calf, melt the top of the foot, and have the weight in your one leg just very steady. So make sure that your hip on the weighted leg is under you, supporting the torso. Right? So this is like holding up the house, right? You want to make sure that that's very steady and quiet, and then rotate your leg the other way. And it feels like you're just dropping your leg into gravity and then giving it just a slight spiraling spin. Okay, so it doesn't require a lot of effort. It requires your attention more than effort. Now, like hydraulics, just pour your attention down the center of the other leg. Release, melt the quad, the calf, the top of the foot. Engage your core, and then put your leg into a slight rotation as you drop open the hip, drop open the knee, ankle, and foot, and then keep this side. It might feel different, you know, our core, we might have an asymmetrical core tone. You might be one side, you have a more dominant or stronger core. So you can't expect it to be perfectly symmetrical. And then go to the other direction. And then just feel that quietude in the weighted side, and then the easeful dropping open of the joints on the moving side. And then from here, put your feet together, hands on the knees, drop your back down, let your shoulders drop down. And then without any weight underneath the knees, you can put your little rotation, almost like you're circumscribing the shape of the outside of the foot, with the feet together, like you've got one big foot. Okay, and if you got knee issues, you can just go straight back and forth. That's fine. Good, and go the other direction. Keep the lower back lengthened and long so that you feel rooted in the centers of your feet and the shoulders are not rolled forward. Good, standing up from the crown of the head like somebody's pulling you up like a marionette. Step out with your feet parallel, hands on your belly, and your feet are about hips distance, and then just begin to rotate. Just a gentle opening of the waist and the hips, dropping open the shoulders, engaging the core and feeling how the core tone is changing throughout your motion, but you never let it go completely relaxed. So it never goes flaccid, but the tone of the core changes with your movement. Good, and then go the other direction. And breathe with your whole body. See if you can move your attention with your breath, connecting from the head all the way down to the bottoms of the feet, the soles of the feet. And taking some deep breaths into the belly where your hands are. Good, all right, drop your arms by your sides and roll the shoulders back, up and back. Let them drop into gravity, up and back, and then let them drop into gravity. When you do this, it's really important that you do not arch your back backwards. So when I do this, I'm not allowing this to happen, right? So instead, feel this kind of like panini press with your belly, kind of giving yourself an internal hug so that your lower spine feels supported. And the lumbar, the lower back, doesn't have to do all the holding. It doesn't feel like it's hoisting the upper body. Rather, you want to feel like a thoroughfare going through the groin area, all the way, translating all the way into sensation in the soles of the feet. You don't have to manufacture a sensation, just observe it with your attention. Observe it with your attention. So as you're rolling your shoulders back, your core is coming in a little bit, and you give yourself a little hug. Good, let's go the other direction. And so from here, you're squeezing the shoulders back and up, and then drop your arms straight down the sides. Back and up, and then straight down the sides. When you go straight down the sides, we don't need to roll our shoulders forward, really, because we have our shoulders are rolled forward most of the day, a lot of the day, because so much of our attention is frontal on screen, on our devices. So we want to get these shoulders back in their more natural alignment. So just drop them straight down and then allow the jaw, the sides of the neck, the front of the neck to melt and relax. So it's like you feel the shoulders dropping away from the ears. Good, and then bend the knees, and then big circle without arching the back again, and go out to the sides at less than 180 degrees, and then bend the knees. So without arching the back, you're going straight up, engage your core, and then you're not at 180 degrees, you're slightly forward. So you're slightly crescent shaped on the front, like a bow and arrow bow. Bring your core in so that you feel that panini press-like action of the core, the relationship between the core in the front and then the lumbar muscles in the back. Okay, that when you bring your core in, actually the lumbar area can relax and become longer because it doesn't have to grip. There's no gripping. You release the grip in the lower back. And then breathing. So you're connecting upper and lower, front and the back, and side to side. Good, let's go the other way. So down, and then raising up with your legs when you get above the shoulders, rotating the arms, palms up, crown up, arms down. Bend the knees, stay in the slightly lowered position until you get to the shoulder line, then use your legs, and then rotate palms up. Crown up, arms down. Keep your core engaged. Feel your back drop down and stay long and elastic. Good, so crown up, arms down. Stay slightly in the lower position. Feel the connection through the rib area. Then use your legs through the feet to go up. So crown up, arms down, and then send the roots down through the feet, through the ground in order to raise up. So you're thinking in more than one direction at once. You're balancing the 6 directions, up and down relationship, front and back relationship, and left and right relationship. Okay. And then from here, put your arms out here. Your toes are still in a line. Drop your arms into gravity and gentle core tone. Okay, so that the weight is not rocking back and forth on the feet. It stays steady in the center. No matter what your arm position is, your weight stays centered on the feet. Keep your A-frame, so keep the crown floating by slightly tucking in the chin. Good, and then 1 foot forward, front toes straight ahead. So you're alternating the arms as if you're, the stance is not very long and the weight is slightly back. Front toe is pointed straight ahead. The toes are not outward. Good, and there's a slight turning at the waist, but the front knee and the hip, the eyes of those joints stay forward. as do your nose. Your nose also stays forward, okay? So this keeps your spinal rotation very clean. Put your mind in your belly and switch your feet. And it might feel a little bit different on this side, that's all right. So there's very still, quiet attention at the front knee. It's not bouncing up and down. It's not bouncing forward and backwards. The feet are flat on the ground and the weight is slightly back. And there's no rocking of the weight on the feet. The weight on the feet is the same, no matter what position of your arms. Good. Centralize your attention now and switch your feet. Good. Keep your attention on the center vertical and switch. Keep your attention on the dantian and switch. And maintain it. So maintain it the whole time and switch. And then try and fool yourself when you switch your stance. Don't become rigid. Just be consistent. Just be consistent. The relationship above and below. So as you switch your feet, go in an asymmetrical rhythm and arrhythmic kind of motion. So you fool yourself. You don't predict it. You just kind of surprise yourself with the movement. And then you notice the upper body stays more and more stable, even as the lower body is switching. Try not to let your adrenaline raise. Just stay steady. Steady internally, because you keep referencing in the center of your body, in your dantian. Good. All right. Great. All right. Relax. Shake it out. Keep your chin slightly tucked. Shake in the center and feel the alignment of the shoulders and the hips, knees and the feet. Turn slightly to one direction, just a little bit. 10, 15 degrees is enough. Good. Then to the center, and just imagine that you've got a ball between your knees. And as you turn, that ball is not collapsing. And back to the center. Right. Okay, good. All right, from here, step out your stance a little bit further. Just as far as comfortable, your feet are still parallel. Now imagine your crown point moving upwards like an antenna, like a car antenna. Not that we have those anymore, but it's going up and out. And then as you bend, it's going outwards to the horizon until your back is flat. And then you just let it naturally roll down. And the antenna, you just let it go through the floor. So you want to feel that length, that extension of the spine beyond the borders of your body, so that you keep your alignment. And then the shoulders here are in neutral. You're not rolling the shoulders forward. You're not pushing yourself into the stretch. Just breathe into the stretch and let gravity do the stretch for you. There is still core engagement in this position. Even though you're bent forward, there's still a little bit of core tone. You don't let it go completely, so that you can feel through your legs and to the centers of your feet, even in this position. Good, and then as you roll up, engage your pelvic floor first and roll up from the base of the spine through the middle, upper, the neck, and then all the way up, feeling your antenna go to the vertical position. And when you're fully up, you can walk your feet in. Good, all right. From here, just stepping out, just either hips distance or either inner hip distance or outer hip distance, either one, whatever is more comfortable for you. Good, and then from here, gather the chi in the lower dantian level, engage your core and then raise up, and then rotate the palms up and bring your core in. Okay, so you're not going back, okay? You're preventing going backwards by bringing this plane in towards your front of your spine. Now keep it going in as you extend the fingertips up. Okay, so you're still not going back. All right, stay on this frontal plane as you drop your shoulder tension and allow the crown point to still feel floating up as you let the arms come down into gravity. Good, and then open, release your groin. Feel the three-dimensional shape of your hips as you come up, and then rotate this, and then send your energy down the roots of your feet, engage your core so that your back does not feel gripping at all. Lengthen your back to extend out, and then crown up, arms down. Good, so you feel like a fountain. Okay, so it's like that returning of the water to the central fountain, right? And then you're going up the tube in the center, and then it sprays above and out to the sides. And you let it return and collect into the ground. And then you siphon it up the center, and then you send it through to the top. Good. And you want to maintain that connection of above and below. So the more your arms go up, the more your attention goes down into spiraling down the roots, down from the centers of the feet into the soft earth, like deep into the earth, like 6, 8, 10 feet into the ground. So you're thinking way beyond the borders of your skin, way beyond the fingertips and the toes, going way down into the earth. And then way down into the earth allows the spray up into the sky. Okay, so you're feeling connected internally, and that connects you externally. And it goes beyond the borders of your skin. And then move in all directions, feeling the forces balance each other. So you have up and down, feeding each other right and left, feeding each other front and back, feeding each other. So your core comes in, you have that internal hug. That gives you that kind of feeling of that hydraulic pressure internally. And that gives you that ability to give yourself kind of a springy quality internally. Good. All right, let the arms come down the sides. All right, so we've been working a little bit on the heart since it's heart season. Summertime is the heart season. It's a fire season, so of the fire element, plus it's a pretty heightened, emotionally intense time in our country and in our culture. So I think it's really important to nourish our heart. So we're just going to start by here. We're going to raise the arms up, and then from here, bend a little bit as you extend and become like barrel shaped. And then here, turn the palms down, crown up, arms down. Okay, so this is, technically it's a little bit more lungs, but if we can breathe, it releases tension internally. Both the lungs and the heart are in what we would call the upper dantian region, or the upper portion of the triple burner, which just means the upper third of the torso. So the lungs and the heart share that region. And if you've noticed maybe sometimes in your life when there's a difficult, emotionally charged moment, if you can just take even a single breath, it helps to diffuse the intensity of it. So we need to pay attention to our lungs, our respiration. This whole year has really called out for attending to our lungs and respiration. It being a metal year, and upper respiratory disease being on the front page every single day. So just bring some space into the chest region, and imagine your body is more than just your sort of visual shape. So you feel front and the back and the sides and above and below, all expanding like a balloon. And you're in the center of the balloon. You're in the center of the balloon. So really think about what's behind you, the balloon expanding behind you, in front of you, above you, and below. Good. When you're here, just put your hands here, just very relaxed at the groin area, just very relaxed. Your thumb can be on the back side. So you're just resting here. And this gives a dropped open quality in the chest region. It's not a very low stance, so don't worry about that. From here, you're going to go look over your left shoulder. So look over your left shoulder, but in order to do that, hold on, look in the front again. You're going to be turning to the left, but you want to use your whole body to do that. So even though you're turning left, use the right side of your body, use your chest, your neck, your hip and back, and even feel all the way down into your foot in order to turn. So use everything but your neck to turn, and really try to avoid pushing your head forward in any way. So you're just turning on your vertical axis, and you're incorporating everything on the opposite side: neck, shoulder, chest, hip, buttocks, leg, and foot to turn. And then on your next exhalation, come back to center and then go across, and then do the same thing on the other side, except with an exhalation. So the other side, the opposite side in which you're turning, the shoulder, the neck, the hip, the buttocks, and the leg, all the way into the foot to do the turning for you. Come back to center. So you're going to be inhaling to the left, using the opposite side of your body from the neck down, and then exhaling to the other side. And keeping the weight in your feet completely symmetrical, as close as you can get. Okay, so you're not shifting, you're not turning your waist. Okay, there's no waist turn here. Okay, you're just using your muscle tissue and dropping straight down into the ground. So just imagine like water flowing down a cliff face, and all the water sticking to the cliff face, but the cliff itself doesn't move. Okay, so your knees stay pointed forward, your hips, they stay pointed forward, and you just want to soften and relax, and the muscle tissue that is in maybe it's habitual patterns of holding. Okay, and then when you get to the opposite side, adjust your breathing so you do the reverse kind of breathing. Okay, so you're inhaling to the other side and exhaling to the opposite side. So you just reverse it, the breathing part. So you're activating the opposite side of the body. You're staying on your vertical axis. You're not shifting weight. You're not shifting your hips around. And you're feeling through the opposite side, the clavicle, shoulder, neck, hip, psoas, back, all the way down into the soles of the feet. All the way down into the soles of the feet. So you're harmonizing through the body. You're not just using half of your body to do the head turning, you're using your entire body, and even the opposite side of the body, which maybe you've never done before. Good, all right. And then from here, just widen your stance a little bit. Now we are going to be shifting the weight. So it's really important to distinguish shifting weight and not shifting weight. So you want to be intentional about your movements. So here, a little bit wider stance. So from here, we're going to shift to your left, and then you're going to do the similar movement as you're turning, but you're going to turn your torso a little bit, and then feel the lengthening of the back of your leg, your back leg. And really try not to overturn. So send your attention down your legs into the centers of the feet, and keep your crown point upright. Keep your chin slightly tucked, and do not use your shoulders. Keep your shoulders in neutral. Keep dropping your back. Okay, good. Then rotate back towards your center, and then glide your weight back to center. Then glide your weight to the other side, and then rotate on your vertical axis and lengthen your leg, the back leg, back leg, back leg, back leg. Open your hip. Feel the shape of your three-dimensional sphere of the hip bone. Lengthen the lower back, especially of the back leg. Good. And then rotate towards your center. Glide your weight back to center. Glide your weight to the other side. Rotate and lengthen your leg in order to rotate. Keep your hip supporting your torso. Drop the tension from the back. Good. And rotate towards your center. Glide your weight across. Lengthen your leg. Stay on your vertical axis. So you're not leaning forward in any way. You still have a little bit of your chin is slightly tucked in, slightly retracted to keep your spine straight. And there's no stress on your cervical spine. Rotate towards center. Glide your way to the other side. Lengthen your leg through the center of the foot and rotate on the central axis. Release any tension from the buttocks. Let it flow all the way down into the leg. Good. Rotate to center. Glide past center. As you rotate, stay vertical. Lengthen the back leg through the center core of the leg. Engage your core and stay through to the center of the foot in the backside. And rotate towards center again. Okay, good. All right, and then walk your feet in a little bit and then just sink and gather the chi in the lower belly here. So keep your spine upright and engaged. Rotate. So we're going back to where we began. And out like a fountain, like a fountain. Bend the knees. Put some air into the balloons in your hips and your knees. Keep that joint space open. Keep the shoulder joint space open. Bring your core in to release excess tension from the back. And let this spray up and out like a fountain. Okay, so you're keeping your structure and then you let go. You have to disinhibit and let go in order to feel that extension out beyond the borders of your fingertips. Down to go up, so spiral down your roots deep into the earth in order to feel uplifted and supported. And then right and left are balancing each other. Good. And down gives rise to the up, and then the up lightens the down. So let the spray just rain down onto the earth. You don't have to push anything down. You don't have to push the rain down. It just falls to the ground. So just let the arms just return and fall down with gravity. As you inhale and raise up, and then exhale and let this extend out. Good. Then from here, bring your feet together. Fold the palms one on top of the other. Take a deep breath into the lower dantian. And then seal and massage in the chi. So down the left, up the right 3 times. And then reverse. Warm the hands. Keep your belly engaged. Good. And then diffuse this chi as if you're bathing all the senses in the head. All the senses in the head get bathed with this chi, and then diffuse the chi gently from above to below so that all the energy and chi is shared throughout the body. All right, good. Bow here. We'll have about 5 minutes for questions and discussion. If you want to stay on the line, you are welcome to.
When you do a movement where you are talking about rotating your arms in, what's going on with your shoulder?
Oh yeah, great question. A lot of what we do is learning how to articulate and not over-articulate our shoulders, right? So when we rotate our arms in, we don't want to like squeeze our shoulders in. So I like to think of this almost like this fabric right here. Like somebody's like wrapping this fabric around my elbow. And it's almost like what's happening in my shoulder, back to your direct question, is almost like the humerus here, the upper arm bone. It's as if I'm turning this And this is what turns the shoulder in the socket. So rather than this out here, doing some sort of turning, I put my mind in the upper arm to keep my arm in the socket. Keep the arm in the socket and without pushing it to any place.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So what usually happens is we push our, right? It's like a ball, it's like a ball and socket joint, but it's not a full socket, right? The bone is just like a moon shape bone, right? It's not a full socket like your hip bone. So that's why you have all these tendons kind of like wrapping your arm around to keep it in there. But we want to still keep this space in there. So as you're rotating your arm, you're keeping the space in there, in that gap. Right? You want to keep that space in there as you're moving. But what tends to happen is we move and we push it in there, and then we try to move.
Oh.
Right? So we like push our shoulders. We tend to go forward and in. So we push it in like this.
Oh yeah.
Right? That's probably pretty familiar. I don't know a single person who doesn't do this. So this is a way that we're training our arms to do something different, which doesn't increase the friction in here, but keeps the joint space open. So if we can keep the joint space open, then that reduces your osteoarthritis. It saves your tendons, your cartilage, your all that soft tissue that allows that joint to glide can remain intact.
Okay.
Is that helpful?
Yeah.
And so if you're rotating this in, basically to take your mind out of, to not have it be so much in your arms, but to have a mental intention of like bringing everything back into your core. So as you're rotating your arms this way, you're not just thinking of out here from elbow out. You can begin by wrapping your elbow in, and then also think about all this area also wrapping in and wrapping around your ribs, and then everything flowing and returning back into your belly. Okay, so you're centralizing your movements. You're centralizing your movements, but not into like a point in the dantian, but it's this whole dantian region, your whole belly region. So you think about these muscle tissues are like wrapping around this area. So as I'm moving my arms this way, right, I'm wrapping this tissue into and referencing it in this big area of my abdomen, my lower abdomen. Right? So it's very physical, but I want to think about how I can take it out of the external and put it in my torso. I want to take the movement into my torso. Okay. This morning.
I have a question, but it's about the 9-minute warm-up.
Sure, yes.
In the 9-minute warm-up, there's one thing where your arms are circling pretty quickly. And I noticed that we don't do that in these Tuesday mornings. And I didn't know if the arm swing is a better, to replace it with the arm swing, or just continue to do it's hard to do the swing because you have to really release your shoulders.
Yeah, that's why I ended up slowing it down. I used to do, if some of you haven't seen the 9-minute video, I made that a couple of years ago, and we were doing this warm-up, just swinging the arms front and back this way, right, Wendy? Yeah. So when you're doing that, if you're doing it at speed like that, that's fine. You can do that, but you really must maintain your core so that you're not allowing the shoulders to go outside of their range. So the core engagement protects the proper range of motion of your shoulders. So then you can go into this swing, but you're not inhibiting the shoulders to do it. So if it's difficult, which sounds like maybe you do run into some stuck areas there, just do it in slow motion, just like we've been doing in class. and then put more focus on your core engagement, because that is what really protects the shoulders, is your ability to centralize your movement in here. Okay. All right, everyone. Great to see you this morning. Happy practicing.